Going to be an incredible game. I don't know about you guys, but I'm incredibly pumped up for this one. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We have finally arrived at game number 5 in the series between MarineLorD and Beastyqt. Spawning in on the west side of the map. MarineLorD playing as the French. Lidakor, who do we have on the west, on the opposite side?
Well, we do have Beastyqt playing as the Chinese in red. Not a civilization that you commonly see. On this map, you see the mill has already been dropped. And the first thing that we'll have to look at is how much sheep the French and the Chinese players are going to be able to acquire. Because obviously, if you're playing China here in this scenario, you want to focus a lot on that sheep being gathered.
Yeah, that's exactly right. One of the great things about China is that you have access to that Imperial official. So every sheep that you gather out on the map, it's essentially giving you a little bit of extra food, and then it's being multiplied back at home by that Imperial official. So the more sheep you can get, the better. It's definitely going to help out with that economy. But keep in mind, we are currently 2-2 in this series. This is game number 5. The winner of this moves forward onto the grand final. We are currently in the redemption finals. That means that if you lose this series, you are out. That is it. And you will go on to face the winner or rather, you'll go on to face the person that is waiting in the grand final. That is, of course, going to be Vortex. The question is it going to be MarineLorD on his famous French? Or is it going to be Beastyqt on his almost famous Chinese as well? Beastyqt, a big fan of the Chinese here. So Lidakor, I'm looking forward to this game because I'm suspecting it's going to be like the first few games that we watched, an absolute bloody banger.
Yeah, so far this set has been crazy, and the thing is that attrition is going to be a factor. We have seen that even in game number 3, that the players are getting tired, and Vortex is just sitting back there, waiting for his opponent to come up, and this is the advantage that we were talking about when it comes to the double elimination bracket. It might not seem like a significant thing that the player coming from the winner's bracket side, so the player that has not lost a single set in the tournament so far, doesn't have to play this set before the grand finals, but boy oh boy is that a big advantage because these guys have been playing for almost 4 hours now, and one of these guys will have to play the grand finals, and that's the advantage that Vortex has coming from the winner's bracket.
It's an absolutely huge advantage as well. A lot of people would look at that and say it's not really an advantage. Well, hold on a minute. What if I told you that this series has lasted more than 4 hours? Then you'd probably go, oh, actually, now that you've mentioned it, yeah, it is kind of a big advantage. That is a huge difference. I mean, you've literally had Vortex, who is currently sitting on a beach somewhere in Panama with his feet up. He's getting a massage. He's got a pina colada in one hand. He's got his cell phone in the other. He's laughing in Twitch chat. And meanwhile, the person that he's playing up against, Beastyqt or MarineLorD's currently sitting in Paris. He is he's sweating it out right now in his bedroom. He's fighting as hard as he can. Beastyqt on the other side of the world. He's over in Eastern Europe somewhere, probably not on a beach, but he is struggling. Both of these guys, incredible fighters. So much stamina, but they're losing a lot of it here.
Yeah, this is a very interesting talking point because, as you pointed out, they're losing a lot of stamina, but there's a second factor as well, and that is to Vortex. Look at that Barbican coming up on the hunt. Really, Beastie wants to secure that extra food for himself, potentially for a second town center in the future even, or just as a proxy hunting operation. But one extra thing to add is that one thing that Vortex is going to have an issue with is that he's been waiting and waiting and waiting. He wanted to warm up. Like, he might also just get a little, cold is probably the word that we want to use over here. Because he has had to wait so much for these players, and these guys are in it. They'll be tired, but they've been playing for 4 hours, and now they are ready to get into the grand finals. Only one of them will make it there, though.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. Vortex is definitely going to be in for a bit of a struggle. It's going to take a while for him to warm up, so hopefully he's got Lucifront on standby, ready to go, his brother, to help out. But Age Up going to be coming through now for MarineLorD. We do see Professional Scouts is going to be the opening for him. Villager probably going to be going down here. Yeah, it's 2 health on that bad boy. Indeed, it does go down. So 1 villager kill going over to MarineLorD. And we have Professional Scouts coming out here. At the same time, we've also got a wheelbarrow that's coming through for MarineLorD. And Beastyqt on the other side, what is he up to? It looks like we might have a potential fast dynasty come through for him. Looks like a barracks opening is going to be the way that he plays.
Yeah, he's committing a lot of wood into those walls at the beginning, so he definitely has to compensate by having a much better economy than the opponent. And when he's voting like that, you get the feel that he wants to go for a very greedy build here. I wonder if MarineLorD is going to react to this by going super greedy himself, like potentially moving out for those wars, or potentially just going for a second town center himself. So far, there is no sign of a second town center for either of these players, but as you see, Beast is also looking at what his opponent is up to, because there's a lot of wild cards right now here. MarineLorD reacting to the rather greedily looking play of Beasty, and then Beasty just diagnosing if there is aggression coming up, or MarineLorD is just sitting back booming himself.
Yeah, well, for the moment, it's definitely going to be a bit of a boom off. MarineLorD down towards the south, going to be killing up that hunt, his secondary hunt, then probably going to be looking to grab in that safe hunt as well, and going to be moving those scouts back, probably going to be looking to pinch off a couple of these deer closer to the Barbican, or maybe even on the edge of the Barbican. So you can see that Beastie definitely going to be moving out and trying to cover, needs to cover those deer, but I don't think he realizes the significance of a potential threat of professional scouts, or at least in the current meta. It's very rare that we see professional scouts coming out. Finally comes through now. We'll look to see whether he actually does pinch those deer. He could definitely do it, but you know what? I think he'd probably get run down. These spears are so damn quick with these deer nerfs, or these professional scout nerfs, but now he's moving back up to the position. Look at that, Lidakor.
Yeah, the thing that you have to respect here if you're MarineLorD is that the Chinese is a super flexible civilization, so as the first night is coming in, you have to appreciate the fact that the Chinese can react to whatever you're doing super fast with the officers supervising production buildings. So even if in this very moment MarineLorD doesn't see his enemy doing anything, there's a chance that Beast is going to pop up with like 15 horsemen in 1 minute, and you could see for a brief moment MarineLorD is yoinking some hunt from the opponent, this way decreasing the efficiency of that Barbican in the end. Song Dynasty on the way for Beasty. But as I said, MarineLorD has to remain active with his scouts to see what Beast is exactly up to, and that's a little difficult because you're committing your scouts to ferrying in carcasses.
Yeah, that's such a good point. One of the cheeky things that he could look to do is try and hide these nearby, and then go and look to pinch the other deer carcasses from underneath the Barbican. We'll look to see whether he does that. It looks like he's just going to be running back towards his base for now, but it does appear that a dynasty has been met for Beastyqt. He is now in the Song Dynasty. Villagers going to be produced 7 seconds faster out of each of those town centers, so he's going to be booming his little heart out, but at the same time, back in the base of MarineLorD, we do begin to see a second, I'm assuming a second archery range getting dropped down for him. A very common sight in the French base, and indeed it is. So double archery range opening going to be the way that MarineLorD looks to move forward.
He sees the Spearman, and obviously he also needs to account for the fact that his opponent could drop one archer range and supervise it to just compensate for him adding archers. So you'd probably need 2 archer ranges worth of production here, just so that you can really take the numbers advantage here. And MarineLorD, you get the feel that he wants to play aggressive here. He has no desire to go for a second town center. He has gotten a couple of carcasses yoing from the opponent, but that's basically it. The other hunts have pretty much been untouched so far. And indeed, there's the fast dynasty. Could we see Juge and Udos here? Because that is something that is a really cost-efficient unit in Feudal Age, and we've talked about the Jugenu a number of times. It's something that is extremely dangerous in large numbers, and there they go.
Yeah, so indeed we begin to see it. And I think it's actually a very strong unit in this matchup. I will provide a caveat that you cannot make only this unit in this matchup, though. So some people will be familiar with the Chinese build order of the Chokunu with Chokunu plus Chokunu composition. I would not advise that against the French because they have access to the knight. So you're not going to be doing too much damage to those knights with your Chokunu. So it's important that you do add in spears. But your Chokunu are going to trade very effectively up against those archers. Pound for pound, they do incredibly well. So those archers putting out 5 damage. It'll be 6 after the upgrade. The Chokunu do 4 damage with a barrage of 3 shots that they fire. So technically 12 damage. And that goes up to 15 with +1 attack. So you're doing 15 versus 5. Or 15 versus 6. And I guess after armor upgrades, it goes back down to 5 versus 12. But it's a huge damage difference.
The scout is going to get taken down here from Beastie, so he no longer has vision on what the opponent is doing. MarineLorD still ferrying in carcasses for himself. Neither of the players looking to get to Castle Age right now, those walls being burnt down slow and steady. Looks like Beastie is just assembling an army back at home. Still no stone being mined by either, so it very much seems like we're going to have a 1TC build for both of these players for quite a long time. And the question becomes, are you focusing full feudal or are you going into Castle Age? And this is applicable for either player, because whoever gets to Castle Age first here could get a massive power spike with some siege being added potentially.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And both of these civs love to get that siege going. French especially love to get a nice little timing push together with their knights. And at the same time, the Chinese love to just get those nest of bees out. And Beasty definitely not afraid to do it. We've seen him do it many a times, but now those knights going to be pushing in a decent mass of Chokunu together with spears. He's got to be careful here on the wood line. He might potentially look for a bit of a trap there. Knights were charging in. You saw the spears stand by idly, ready to take those charges out. But now he's got to be careful because a lot of these units, I don't know why Beasty's sitting so far back. He could definitely come in and do a fair bit of damage, but Goldmine now going to have to be evacuated. He heads up towards the north. A little bit of a trap potentially being run here. Is that what we've got going on? What exactly is the play? And look at the damage coming out from the Chokunu, just absolutely slaughtering that Royal Knight.
Yeah, that's a tremendous amount of damage output, and there is going to be some upgrades coming in there as well. Beasty's got a super safe lumberjacking operation up north. There is just a narrow choke point leading there, and he sent out a villager to try and trap that army. There is the villager to trap, but he's going to get intercepted. So MarineLorD gets away with this. It looks like quite a lot of proxy gold miners were out there. What were these guys up to? For a moment,
what was that?
Yeah, they just popped out with their bows. It was like, okay,
what were they doing? Yeah, they were very confused. It's like they saw a ghost boar or a ghost wolf. Yeah, very, very interesting from those villagers. They've got to be careful, though. Knights are heading up in that direction. I'm not sure if Beasty caught an eye of that. He needs to drop down an outpost immediately. I would suspect that it's coming up, but Barbican now going to be looking to protect. But look at the Chokunu damage coming out. Oh, my lord, it's disgusting.
It's a ton of damage up, but the knights are heading towards those gold miners, but here's the deal. Why would MarineLorD ever even look at that gold mine? He doesn't really think that his opponent has any villagers out there. Like, if he suspected that his opponent might be out there, he would just send one knight to probe it. But the fact that he's not sending any knights there is just a sign that he has no idea that the opponent is out there. He's not anticipating the opponent to be there. And this is going to give a very nice edge for Beasty because he can start marching towards the opponent's base, and we're reaching that critical mass of Jugenu and Spearmen that could be really dangerous against everything that MarineLorD has. A lot of barracks being added. Is he getting castle or what's the plan? Like,
yeah, he's going castle 100%. It is going to be meta that he's looking to play. So he's going to be looking to try and take advantage of that quick castle age timing now. So probably going to be dropping down a guild hall and now going to be looking to defend this frontal attack. It's going to be very hard because MarineLorD is going to be sort of getting caught with his pants down at this point in time. There's a lot of units here coming out for Beastyqt. A lot of Chokunu, but the correct counter against that is definitely the men-at-arms.
It is the men-at-arms, and I love how he's sending the cavalry in for a raid as well. Just distract your opponent. All you need is like 30 seconds until you get to Costage and get a couple of men-at-arms out. Although we have to keep in mind that a large ball of Chukanu would still do pretty well against all of those men-at-arms. The officer gets sniped by the knights here, great diversion by MarineLorD, but I would love to see what those units are doing from Beasty inside his base because he's seeing the transition, and he has a window to just take down these barracks before a single men-at-arms would pop out.
Yeah, and one thing to remember, these Chokunu do a lot of siege damage. It doesn't seem like they would, but you got to remember that these guys are doing 3 damage a pop. And so when you're talking about 20 Chokunu, that's 60 siege damage that is getting done by those guys every single second because they fire very, very quickly. But still, there seems to be quite a decent mass of, a decent amount of barracks here. Interestingly, that raid back there, Beasty had plenty of villagers standing nearby, or I should probably phrase that differently. He was able to put his economic units inside the village that was sitting right next to his woodline, but didn't do it and lost a huge amount of units as a result. Now we see men-at-arms masses beginning to build. Looks like Beasty going to get forced back on this front. Multiple sides. His units are split up. This isn't the best time for him, but he is heading towards what appears to be a big blue dot on the mini-map. Now moving away from it. Let's take a look over towards... Oh my god, he's found some villagers here. Spots the gold mine. He's now... Oh, this ain't pretty.
He knows.
This ain't pretty. Villagers going to be in, but now the men-at-arms going to be coming to the rescue. He does have +1 ranged defense, so only going to be doing 1 damage a pop here. But at the same time, you can see up towards the north, it looks like we might have a bit of a... Look at the micro coming in from him. Look at the beautiful micro coming in. Every individual unit is just being pulled back that's being attacked. Next level stuff. Next level stuff, seriously.
Yeah, great micro. He's just splitting up his Jugenu, forcing that infantry to chase. Ultimately, these Jugenu are getting cornered though, so while it looked very scary for MarineLorD, all that red units heading towards that gold mine, it looks like he might have a window to clean this up, but this is a distraction. And as much as those knights raiding the base of Beasty was a distraction for Beasty that allowed MarineLorD to get up to Castle Age, now Beasty is using this distraction to allow himself to get to Castle, and you see he's on the way to Castle Age with what I assume would be the clock tower.
And now we start to see the consequence of the length of this series. We enter into the 4th hour now of this series, and Beastyqt begins to idle. Villagers, 23 of them, were standing by idly, waiting for orders, but unfortunately yet to receive any of them. Now finally going to be making their way towards the remnants of the deer that are out here. Only 5 of them do remain, and Chokunu going to be making their way back towards the base of Beastyqt, looking for a little bit of safety, seeking safety underneath the Barbican, and slowly but steadily the men-at-arms chasing them down. What is the movement speed of the Chokunu? I'm curious. Are they faster? Are they slower than the men-at-arms? It would seem that they're slower, though.
I think they're actually faster. It's 1.19, 1.12. Okay, then it's identical speed.
All right, so identical speed, but now Chokunu forgetting for a second that they got to keep running. Ideally, it's not a good time to do it when you're being chased by men with swords, but now, oh, look at this. Oh, you trying to steal my deer? Not today, sir, not today. All of those scouts go down, losing their lives, and now we've got units beginning to move down across the map here. Beastyqt might be in a bit of trouble. His only food source is down towards that south position, or at least a primary food source for him is in that locality. So he's got to be very careful, but now we've got Nest of Bees coming out, crossbows, and men-at-arms as well, Lidakor.
Indeed, and this is where the efficient production of the Chinese comes into play in the form of the supervisor supervising the buildings, because in just the blink of an eye, you can field a couple of crossbows to try and react to those men-at-arms, and right now, the army composition of MarineLorD is very heavily shifted towards those heavy units, men-at-arms and lancers, so a large amount of crossbowmen can deal with this army quite well, and the Nest of Bees also unleashing hell on those men-at-arms. That's a ton of resources down the drain here for MarineLorD, but there is the retaliation because he's going to find quite a few villagers. Vols have been deleted. I wonder if he's going to make it back, and I think there is also supervisor that's being pursued, not just villagers. Yeah, that's a supervisor down.
Yeah, supervisor going down, a very expensive loss right there. 75 health on that bad boy. Unfortunately, very weak for its cost. But now it seems like Beastie is going to be under a lot of pressure. MarineLorD is beginning to take control of the map, looking to get out onto the boars as well. So both of the boars being secured up by MarineLorD at this point in time. So instead of investing into farms, he's going to be investing into map control, and also drops a monastery down in the central location. And second boar going to be taken up, and you can see idle villagers sitting by here. Beastie with a couple of idle villagers in his pocket. Not looking pretty right now. MarineLorD on 65 villagers. Compare that over to Beastyqt, who sits on 59 at this point in time. Still managing to keep up with the French player, but definitely struggling to do so, it seems.
And the thing is that those 2 boars will give a tremendous amount of food for MarineLorD to work with. And this is something that he can use to delay his farm transition, spend his resources elsewhere, whereas for Beastie, you could see for a brief moment he's running out of accessible food. He lost a couple of carcasses on the northern side to the professional scouts of his opponent. On the south, he's being denied, he has no access to those boars, and he's gonna have to make a farm transition, which is going to be costly, and it's going to take a lot of time, and those villagers have been idle there for like 15 minutes now. Oh, you get the feel that indeed that attrition is kicking in for Beastie quite rapidly.
Yeah, this is not looking good for him. You look at the villagers just chilling out, waiting for those new orders, potentially hoping that a couple of farms get ordered in from the home city. But now finally getting told to move on, heading back towards that town center. You can see they got their berry grabbing bushes out, so maybe they're going to be heading down south to pick it up. But Relic's going to be coming in through as well. It looks like a palace guard going to be doing its best to just stop any gold mining at that mining camp. But now the archery range transition is coming through. A siege workshop being dropped down, and a second town center coming down for the MarineLorD.
And that second town center is really what's going to skyrocket his economy. He's realizing that his opponent is pinned inside his base. Beastie isn't really willing to push out right now. So MarineLorD is going to use his window to gather relics. He's going to use this window to expand his economy and just build on his already existing lead. And with those 2, nope. Palace Guard is gonna get away, but with those 2 boars accessible, he's gonna have such a high amount of food to work with that he can easily afford to produce villagers on 2 town centers and simultaneously keep popping out armies so he doesn't lose map control.
And that's a really good point. So keep in mind, he's not going to have to add farms. Whereas Beastyqt, I mean, we take a look at his base, and it's looking like farmland. I mean, we are talking like, you know, Eastern China right now. Look at the farms coming down. And aren't they beautiful? I got to say, I love the Chinese farms. But I got to be honest with you. When we compare the Chinese base building from Beastyqt compared to his Holy Roman Empire base building, his Chinese base building needs a lot of work. This is disgusting. You got farms everywhere, Beastie. Get it together, son.
Yeah, that's not going to be super efficient. Some of those farms are quite far away from drop-off sites, but the bigger concern for him right now is that he's just losing map control so rapidly. Villager count are dead even, And the military count, I think, is a little deceiving. It's 32 military population for Beasty, but you just don't see that on the battlefield. And you get the feel that with MarineLorD mining that stone, he could drop a very aggressive castle in the middle of the map, or potentially even close to the base of Beasty, and then use that as a staging ground, especially with the French also getting a discount on unit production near castles. So you could establish a very good forward base here for MarineLorD, just because Beasty is busy with that farm transition right now, so he's not really contesting the map.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Now, I guess another thing to remember is that when we get, or as this game continues moving on, as it gets later and later and later, the advantage is slowly and steadily going to be moving towards Beastyqt. He's playing the Chinese, a civilization that does excel in the late game. We are seeing, has he added in a second town center? It looks like it might actually have a second town center in here as well. So his villager count is really going to start to skyrocket. Going to be able to keep relative parity with his opponent. And now it looks like he's also going for that horticulture upgrade. How much is in the guild hall? Can we take a look at that bad boy as we watch the farms, or as we watch the stone gatherers get murdered? Guild hall. 260 stone.
It's stone.
Oh, yeah, baby. We are going for stone walls? Keeps?
I know, keeps. It's got to be a keep. It's got 800. And that's one of the more underappreciated. No, I think it's just keep. I mean, if you think about that, the stone, like, if you compare the amount of gold that you can pull off, like, let's say you pull off 500 gold out of your guild hall. It's nice, but it's not a tremendous amount. At least, it's not something that you can use to field a ton of army. But 500 stone, that's half a castle. So, in many ways, adding that guild hall on stone is going to give him the option to just spam castles everywhere.
Yeah, that's a great point. He's going to look to probably take control of the sacred sites in the center of the map. Obviously, a lot of gold out here as well. And now we see that keep coming down. Wow, Lidakor, where did you possibly get that idea from that he would be going for keeps? But a keep going to be coming out in response as well, managing to hold this sacred site or hold this this stone in the middle of the map. But 4 relics going over to MarineLorD right now. 1 relic for Beastyqt. Is continuing to lose villagers up towards this north position. A single Arbitria just slowly but steadily working them down. He's firing very fast as well, I gotta be honest with you, but he did go down. Was that arrow slits on that outpost?
Hand cannon slits, yes.
Oh, yes, apologies, yes, hand cannon slits.
Yeah, like, the reason why we don't really see the arrows flying is because it's hand cannons. It's a little deceiving because it's a little difficult to see the hand cannon slits out there. Like, other towers would just fire arrows, so you see the arrows flying, but with the hand cannon slits, it's a little difficult to spot that your units are being shot at, and now MarineLorD is going for the sacred sites. He's got the castles, he's got the trebuchets, 67 army against 48. This is looking grim right now for Beasty, not gonna lie.
But remember, the longer the game goes on, the better for Beastyqt. And that's exactly what he wants. And it might look grim at this point in time. He might be down 20 population when it comes to his military, but he loves the late game. The only issue is that we are getting to the point where the late game is so late that attrition is starting to settle in. And the question is going to be whether he's actually able to keep it together. We can see that when it comes to his mechanics in the late game, he's still doing quite well, but is his reaction timing going to be good enough? Looks like Villager's going to get completely mauled on that gold mine. Unfortunately, not going to be good enough, it seems, to spot that raid up towards the north. And I'd love to know how he's doing right now, because I suspect it's not doing too well. And we can see hand cannons just firing down on those knights in the middle of the map. Specialized pick also coming through, so economic upgrades slowly but steadily being researched for MarineLorD. He's got almost all of the +2 upgrades as well. Take a look at that. He's got his +2 melee, +2 ranged attack, +2 ranged defense, and just the +1 melee defense at this point in time, but he is a very happy camper with regard to those upgrades.
He is super happy, and the thing that's concerning for Beasty is that he's controlling like 20% of the map, whereas MarineLorD has gotten 4 relics for himself, so he's set up for long term. He has gotten 2 boards for himself, and look at that gold mine. That's like 500 gold left on that gold mine for Beasty. He's on a serious timer, and the problem for him is that he's nowhere close to Imperial. He doesn't have a spectacular army right now, it's mostly crossbowmen. On the other side, you do see Lancers and Men-at-Arms, though supported by some Archers. This is an army that MarineLorD should be able to take down if he wants to.
Yeah, one of the things to note is he does still have a gold mine inside his walls, and he's obviously got the Imperial official that are able to stand by and to supervise that position. So the gold mine down here has got 4,000 gold, but when you throw on the Imperial official as well, technically it's 5,000 gold because of that extra 20%. Yeah, he's managing so far to hold on at this point, still sitting behind very heavily with regard to supply or population. You can see he's down 8 villages and about 24 military units at this point.
MarineLorD is reaching pop cap, and I feel like if he ever wants to attack, that's gonna be in that window. Or if he reaches pop cap, he can just stop making army, of course, and think about Imperial Age. He's already shelling that castle in the middle with trebuchets for a long time. Couple of Springballs as a reaction are out for Beasty. Most of the army here for Beasty, though, is crossbowmen. For now, that's going to be fine, because most of the units here for MarineLorD are heavy units, and it's a bit like a poking and probing scenario right now. Neither of the players want to commit to this, and as you said, the longer the game goes, the better it is for Beasty. Knights finally trying to break in on the right side. I wonder if MarineLorD actually sees those villagers moving towards that gold mine, because if he does, he knows that Beasty is running low on gold soon.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see MarineLorD making an effort to come over towards this side of the map. Obviously, bringing the Knights over indicates that he is keen and aware to try and break through, but whether the pressure actually comes over there, because at the moment it's looking just like a frontal attack. But yeah, the question definitely remains as to whether we could see pressure moving over, and it does look like the units are now moving down towards that central location. He could be making his way over towards that eastern flank, or that southern flank of the base, and now a little bit of a fight beginning to ensue. You can see the crossbows there doing a great job. Spears getting a good connection here with the Knights, managing to take out two of them, getting a fair bit of damage onto the other ones, but now going to be looking to clean up this mass in the middle. A lot of men-at-arms beginning to move out towards the location. Archers on the back line. Spear's going to get cleaned up. No mangonels out for either of these players, because one of them is China and they can't make mangonels, but no mangonels coming out for MarineLorD at this stage either. He's up to 6 Springwalds, however, and going to be completely chased away here. The Knights just doing a great job of preventing any sort of escape.
And that's a disastrous loss of a battle here for Beasty, because, as you pointed out, these units are moving to the right side. And look at the stone count here for MarineLorD. This would be his window to drop a castle. He's going up to Imperial. Is that the Red Palace we are seeing, I wonder? That should be the Red Palace coming up for him. The question is where exactly he's dropping it. He's
the large gold mine.
Oh,
yep,
yeah, that's going to be a great spot.
Yeah, so this is a really decent spot for the late game. Beasty is somewhat anchoring towards this position, and by putting this Red Palace down here, it's going to prevent any units from coming through. It's really going to force the fight up towards this northern gold mine, which has, of course, been secured up by a keep already, and will continue to be secured up by more units. But now we begin to see that attack moving through down towards that gold mine. This is the only available gold that Beastyqt's got left. He's obviously got that one up towards the north, but it is quite open, and now archers looking to tee off on those units that have, or on those villagers, managing to make their way back towards the base. At the moment, villager count looking relatively healthy for both players, still over the 3-digit mark for each of them.
Indeed, Beasty is not super far away from Imperial either, but it is going to be a cause of concern for him to see that his opponent is now up to him, because you can start grabbing all those great Imperial Age upgrades for the French, Royal Bloodlines for the Knights, and of course the elite upgrades for all the archers, the arbaletier. You can see some cannon coming out as well for him. You can see roller shutters on the Springolds. So this power spike is fairly big right now for MarineLorD, and Beasty, he's probably going to buy the food he needs for Imperial, because he knows he needs to get up straight away.
Yeah, now we see him with more than enough resources to get up to that Imperial Age. Ideally, as a Chinese player, he's going to have 20 to 25 villagers building that landmark. He needs to get that roller shutter triggers in researched immediately, because he's going to have the French army boiling down upon him, or barreling down upon him apparently, but definitely not boiling. That's not what you'd want to do with an army. But now got to be careful here, because it looks like the army might manage to get behind the enemy lines. He manages to fall back though before the upgrades come through. No roller shutter triggers just yet. No elite knights coming out. No elite arbaletier at this point in time, but it is obviously being researched.
Enlistment incentives is on the way though for MarineLorD, and that's going to make his production super cost efficient. It's going to increase the discount that the castles provide to those production buildings, and look at that. Now that is an ugly farming scenario if you've ever seen one.
Call T90 and tell him his farms have been stolen, because that is not pretty. But Beastyqt now reaching the Imperial Age, and you can see immediately roller shutter triggers is what is being researched. Going to be spending his resources on a bombard as well. So very interesting that he's looking to put all of his gold there instead of going for things like elite palace guards or they what's the palace guard upgrade called? I'm sure you know, Lidakor.
You got me with this one. You got me with this one. I know, it's the plus 30 HP one that you're referring to.
Yes.
The problem is that these are not even elite, and they are facing a lot of arbaletier, a lot of elite knights, and this is the power spike that MarineLorD has been waiting for. All his imp upgrades in, none finished just yet for a Chinese player. And if you look at the right side of the screen, with the upgrades that are queued up, they're not even coming in. Beasty doesn't have those upgrades coming in, and this window is larger for MarineLorD than we initially thought.
Yeah, this window is looking very, very big for him now. He's got a lot of resources in the bank as well, ready to push out a whole bunch of siege if he needs to. But at the same time, it looks like he does finally capitalize on this position. Beastyqt manages to hold on at this point. He's down 19 population at this stage in the game, and he's going to be looking to hold on a little bit further. Now, obviously, MarineLorD has got a bit of an advantage coming into this Imperial age, but the question is going to be about whether Beastyqt is able to find a way to get himself back into it. He's been at a deficit for the majority of this game. Villager count is even. Military count almost even as well. The tech difference is really where it's going to be, though. We still don't see elite upgrades coming through for crossbows. We still don't see elite upgrades coming through for palace guards. We still don't see the Royal Rumble. I don't even remember what is the name of that tech. We got to see it. We got to see that tech right now. Let's see. Can we check on a barracks right now, Vodka? Vodka's going to take us towards a barracks, a Chinese barracks. He's going to click on it and he's going to tell us exactly what it is. But have we got a bit of a battle unfolding in the middle of the map right here? There it is, battle hardened. We got a battle unfolding. We got a battle unfolding. I apologize. It might have been my bad mistake for going after that upgrade. It's just my obsessive compulsive disorder kicking in, at least something like that. But yeah, a little bit of a skerfuffle coming out. Both players still sitting on maximum population at this point in time, so maybe they were just firing off blanks.
Castle being taken down by those bombards. We're entering that stage where the Chinese late game is about to kick in, but still upgrades are missing here. Nice micro by Beasty with those springholds. He's slowly taking down that castle. You could see for a brief moment that MarineLorD knows that Beasty wants this to be a very long game. He actually started dropping towers on that market, or the neutral market, because he knows that there's a chance that his opponent could try to just get some trade set up. And on the south, Beasty started going for the stone walls. Those were denied by the Red Palace.
Yeah, this is quite an interesting development, that the outpost towards the north, and you're 100% right. It indicates as to what MarineLorD thinks about the potential for this game to go late. He is saying, you can stay in your base all you like, but you're not trading, mate, and doing a great job of denying that trade. But now we see the bombards with the pyrotechnics firing off. They've got the 12 range. The roller shutter triggers now going to be coming out. The clock tower springhold's getting taken out by the larger numbers of the French bombards, and now it looks like the crossbowmen going to be able to hold on this position. The nest of bees looking to fire off upon them, but they do get taken out. Bombard's going to be unleashing their weapons upon the cannons of the French and taking it out with full force. Now, keep in mind, these bombards are Chinese bombards, the best bombards in the game. They've got that extra +2 range from pyrotechnics. If you take a look at them, it will be a 12 range that they've got instead of the 10 range, which makes them equivalent in range to the springholds that have got the upgraded roller shutter triggers, which means that they're able to trade very, very effectively, even with springholds, which should technically be their counter units.
And that castle is coming in clutch as well for Beasty. That castle took down like 2 or 3 springholds out there, and look at that raid now coming in. Sacred sites under the control of MarineLorD, and suddenly, in just a blink of an eye, this cavalry could just wipe out half the eco here for Beasty. No reaction so far from him, and now, suddenly, his eco starts to collapse under those raids.
Yeah, it's not looking pretty. His villager count is beginning to dwindle. He's down to 103 villagers, and those knights potentially going to be breaking through into the back of the base. Beasty needs to start observing his walling capabilities. One of the things Beastyqt loves to do in these late game scenarios is wall, but one of the things he has failed to do so is wall sufficiently or efficiently at this point in time, because his enemy has broken through, and, well, not even really broken through at this point, Lidakor. He's just kind of walked through. He's waltzed through. And he's going to be able to clean up villages very easily.
Look at the villager count, 94. It was 114 just a minute ago. And right now, MarineLorD is sitting on 4 relics-free sacred sites as well. So that eco difference is massive. And basically, just this small raid here from MarineLorD forced all those crossbows back from the battlefield. MarineLorD is buying a lot of time for himself to fortify the middle. And also, he's dragging this game out to a stage where his opponent is going to start running low on resources as well. I would think that Beasty is running low on gold that's mineable, losing villagers on the north as well to the knights. He's down to 90 villagers only, 158 population and dropping.
Yeah, it's not looking pretty right now. Beastyqt has suddenly made a lot of bombards as well. Look at the bombards numbers he's got. He's managing to repair them up. He just needs to keep them alive, because those bombards are going to be very effective up against the cavalry of his opponent. So if he's able to get those numbers up and provide a reasonable defense, so whether in the form of spears or palace guards or both, then that's going to help him out a huge amount. But now we see that knight, or that royal knight just behind enemy lines, doing so much damage. 83 villagers at the moment for Beastyqt. It's not looking pretty. He might be falling apart here in the best of 5 with MarineLorD. It's yeah, it's not the best for him right now.
Yeah, Attrition is definitely settling in here, as you do see once again a trade between those Springolds and the Bombards. The micro is beautiful by Beasty. He's able to keep his own Bombards alive, taking down the castle as well. But as he's doing this, he's being distracted, and you see his villager count is still dropping, 77, 76. He isn't noticing that he's being slain left and right. Now that castle does go up, but so many villagers have fallen once again. And you gotta wonder how long Beasty can afford to lose villager after villager like this.
And this is really what it just comes down to. It's this attrition. You know, MarineLorD has been out in the trenches just for so long, and at the same time, Beasty doing the same thing, but he's just not sticking to it, unfortunately. So tough stuff coming out from him, managing to secure up that gold mine in the north, though. And now a keep going to be built up here, looking to fire down upon those two players, and they are going to enter into mutually assured destruction up there. But MarineLorD looking very good. What kind of production have we got coming out for MarineLorD at the moment? I'd love to know his barracks numbers, his archery range numbers, his stable numbers, because that's what, yeah, oh wow, there we go, 30 production facilities right now for him. He is well and truly set for this late game fight, because this is what it's all about. It's about this production, because once this fight happens, it's going to be about reinforcements and flooding your enemy's base with those reinforcements, and he's got plenty of resources in the bank. But right now, Beastyqt, he's starting to fall. Look at this. He's down to 147 population at this point in time. It is not looking good for him. He's got plenty of resources in the bank, but no production helping out right now. He's making 13 military units, but he's going to need a lot more than that, because right now he's been dwindled down completely. What is going on here, Lidakor?
And his eco has been breached. The archers, the knights are now breaking in. He was focusing on the southern side apparently to make a push, but MarineLorD is just going to spearhead straight into his base. Steady 200 population against 132. Looks like a big fight is unfolding here at the bottom. Quite a lot of hand cannoneers and crossbows joining the fun over here. Cavalry will just be detached from this group, heading straight into the eco once again. MarineLorD knows that he cannot really take a direct fight, or he doesn't want to take a direct fight, and it's all about that raiding knights once again coming in, trying to stop that castle. 67 villagers only remain for Beasty. He won't be able to replace lost units here anymore. He's just losing way too many villagers left and right.
Yeah, villagers just continuing to go down left, right, and center here, managing to get this keep up on the front line, but at the same time on the back line, just losing villagers. He's down to 61 villagers at this point, 60 villagers now for him. I remember the good old days when Beasty was sitting on 114 villagers. Long gone are those days, ladies and gentlemen. This is the battle of attrition, and Beasty is slowly but steadily falling victim to MarineLorD. And now we see those bombards firing off, doing so much work there, managing to take out one of those units one by one. But there's no AoE damage on those bombards, but I tell you what, anything that they do hit, it's going to be dying very quickly.
Yeah, the key thing here for MarineLorD is that he needs to play this one patiently. He can't engage that army in the middle right now, but if he builds up a force, he can take one decisive fight, and that's all that Beasty has. He takes that army down, Beasty isn't gonna be able to replenish that Springolds, opening up against those bombards out there. Archers, mostly depleting the spearmen numbers, and you see Beasty is just struggling so much with population now. He's down to 106. The next wave of cavalry is coming in, finding so much value on all those gold miners, the villagers on the food as well. The eco of Beasty is collapsing at a very rapid pace.
Yeah, it's not looking pretty now. Beasty going to be trying to get up a stone wall on the front line here. Definitely the right choice, but we're entering into this stage of the game where it's just going to be so hard for him to make a wall that actually connects to everything. We just see these continuous run-bys coming through from MarineLorD, and now he's actually got out trebuchets because he realizes that there's no way for him to actually contest these keeps against the bombards of his opponent. And so the only way to really do it is from range, and it's a very smart decision. And now we see more villagers going down. Beastyqt down to 41 villagers, 33 military for him. He's turning around with the bombards, looking to try and keep these alive. At the same time, a single Chokun who going to be out here as well, looking to try and hold on. But behind the enemy lines, there is no raids happening at this point in time. But 31 villagers right now for Beastyqt. He's bleeding villagers somewhere. I've got no idea where it is, but it's not looking pretty for him. It looks like a villager count from 7 minutes into the game, and Beastyqt is in dire straits right now. He's on 25% of the villagers that his enemy is on.
And the next wave of knights is just coming in. As you said, he's bleeding villagers, and that bleeding is going to continue over and over again. The raids will just intensify here, and as you pointed out, it's impossible for him to get himself walled up. He's going to finish this keep over here, but MarineLorD is ready to take it down with the trebuchets, and now those expensive bombards are targets of the cavalry. They are still alive, and Beasty is trying to hang on to this one, but this ship, I think, is sunk. 30 villagers, 27 army, combined for 56 population. I don't think there's a way back anymore for Beasty.
Yeah, this is not looking pretty at all for Beastyqt. You can see that he's got all of those bombards sitting underneath the keep, and he's going to hold on in classic Beastyqt style. But when your economy is this low, like, look at the food a minute coming in for him right now. He's sitting on 210 food a minute. He can't even support villager production from 2 from 2 town centers with that.
Is that a
It's
Ming
just
dynasty?
simply not possible.
Wait a second.
I don't know if I don't
Does
think
he
it was
have
a
the
Ming
Spirit
dynasty.
Way? Or is that his
I don't think
landmark
he's.
only?
Yeah, I don't think that he went for the Spirit Way. I think he just went for the Great Gatehouse.
Yeah, a little bit of a surprising decision over here. By the way, we have 3 minutes until a Sacred Site victory, something that we've been completely neglecting because we're focusing on Beasty getting killed. And honestly, MarineLorD doesn't even have to sweat this one right now, because at this point he could just waltz into the base of Beasty here and finish him off. He's just sitting on those Sacred Sites right now with 230 remaining, and there is just no chance for Beasty to get to any of those Sacred Sites in that window.
Yeah, he's playing very methodically, and I think this is the smart move. He knows that he's got the Sacred Site victory timer running down, so why does he need to push it? Why does he need to really take it to the edge? Why does he need to risk it? You know, what is the potential of a cavalry switch? He doesn't know what the villager count is for Beasty. Beasty could be sitting happily on 100 villagers right now and just pumping out units non-stop. It's been a while since he's actually looked inside the base of his enemy, and he doesn't know because, you know, we see 330 food a minute coming in for Beastyqt, and we know the truth, but MarineLorD might not know the truth.
Indeed, only 2 minutes left on that timer. Beast is at 80 population. He's managed to get up to 40 villagers. Congratulations, we're progressing forward. The Bombards are still alive. That's how sturdy those bad boys are. Everything died for Beasty, yet the Bombards are still alive and they're slowly creeping up. Obviously, Beasty knows that this is game number 5 of a best of 5, and it is his tournament life, or at least his life in the first stage of the tournament on the line.
Yeah, this is absolutely ludicrous. Now Sacred Site's continuing to tick. There's a minute and 32 left to go for it. The unit does go down eventually that was holding onto that Sacred Site. Hand Cannoneer is going to be sitting on the back here. They're next to the stone walls, but not on top of it. On top of the stone walls, they get that extra little bit of range, and it would definitely help out in this position. They also take less damage, but unfortunately, they do get pushed back. The Keeper's gone down. Second Keep sitting back here, nice and safely. And now it looks like Elite Lancer's going to be, or Elite Knight's going to be running in and looking to try and clean up this Bombard mass once and for all, but it does indeed get repelled. You can see just how safely he's playing it. Even though having such a large military mass, MarineLorD pulls back from this position and really just it is absolutely ludicrous how well he is playing this. And it looks, to me, it looks like MarineLorD is just fresh. Like he's not making any mistakes. Beastyqt, obviously, we can see that it is starting to hit him quite hard. But MarineLorD on the other side of things is looking pretty darn decent. I haven't seen any mistake come out from him at all this game.
Yeah, obviously part of this is, of course, the fact that he's playing safe back at home, so he really just has to focus on a couple of things on this battlefield. Especially in these last few minutes, it doesn't really stress him to have these fights going on. And there is the GG being called by Beastyqt after what was like a 5-hour-long set, crazy grinding. Really the definition of attrition warfare. It looks like MarineLorD is going to take Beastyqt down. Beasty knocked him down to the loser's bracket. They meet again, and this time around, it's MarineLorD taking the win.
Yeah, MarineLorD winning the one that counts. It doesn't matter about whether you get knocked out. It matters about whether you get back up. And indeed, MarineLorD gets back up and he takes himself through to the grand finals. That's going to be a best of 5 against Vortex. That is correct, ladies and gentlemen. Both players have agreed. This is an important announcement from EGC TV that has just come in hot. The finals is now a best of 5. Both players have agreed that, considering the length of this set, that in the interest of everybody, they are going to be reducing it down to a best of 5.